so good afternoon. I guess it's evening. So good evening, boys and girls. Today we're going to be talking about the phases of the moon. Has anyone ever gone outside and noticed that the moon looks different than it did another time you looked at it? Maybe it was bigger or there was more of it you could see. Anyone? Yeah? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of nodding heads. Okay, next slide. So do we remember how last week we talked about how the Earth rotates and it also revolves around the sun at the same time? Do you remember? Yeah? Okay, so the moon also does the same thing, but instead of revolving around the sun, it revolves around the Earth. So, as you can see here, the sun's light is always touching the moon. So it looks like this from outer space. So the white color is the part that's light, and the dark part is facing away from the sun. So that's why it looks dark and we can't see it. But the pictures here are what we can see from Earth. Next slide. So there's the new moon, and that's when all of the sun's light is front and center on the moon. Next slide. The next one is a gibbous. So there are two kinds. There's a waxing gibbous and a waning gibbous. So a way to remember that, have you guys ever seen the movie Karate Kid? I know you're first graders, you're a little young. Maybe you haven't, but you can remember wax on. So the moon is getting bigger, it's getting brighter, and then waning, as in it's getting smaller. So it's waning away. It's getting smaller. We can see less of it. All right, next slide. And next we have the quarters. Again, just like the gibbuses, there are two quarters. There's the first quarter moon, and then there's the third quarter moon. Next slide. And then we have crescents. So that's exactly the same as the gibbous. We have a waxing crescent and a waning crescent. So exactly how the gibbuses were, when the moon is waxing, it's getting bigger. So, and then when it's waning, it's going away. It's getting smaller. The next few days we're not going to be able to see as much of it. Next slide. And a new moon, we can't see anything. Where'd the moon go? We can't see it, but it's still there. So how long does the moon take to go through all of those phases? Well, remember how I said in the beginning, the moon revolves around the Earth. So how long does it take to do that? Does anyone have any ideas? Yes. 2 days. 2 days? A little bit more than that, but very good guess. Do you have any ideas?
A year.
A year. Not quite, but it does take the Earth a whole year, 365 days to get around the sun. So the moon takes 27 days, a little bit more than 27 days to go through all of those phases we just went over. All right, next slide. All right, and those are my standards, and that's my objective. Thank you.